All right. Hi. So today's goal, we are going to take what we've done so far with our literary nonfiction unit and be able to apply that and some new skills to some documentaries. Okay. A documentary is essentially a movie that is true. All right. So this is a screen that we looked at the other day. These are some things that we've learned so far in this unit. Social issues, remember, affects a group of people. Central ideas is the main idea or the main concept about a topic. Themes are what we're supposed to learn about life. Author's arguments are things that the author is specifically trying to argue. And remember, they will use that with their tone. They will use that by leaving out other people's perspectives and other people's arguments and other people's voices. Character's perspective. Sometimes the character's perspective and author's argument are the same if you're reading like a memoir. So if you read A Child Called It, or if you read The Glass Castle, or if you read Bad Boy, those are all memoirs. So the author's argument and the main character's perspective are the same in those because the author is the main character. Okay. But the character's perspective is going to differ than a minor character in the story. You have your narrative and informational text elements. That is, narrative is when you look at the characters and the conflict and the themes and the setting and all that stuff. Informational text is when you look at the facts and the details. All right. Complex cause and effects. That's when we talked about the potholes and how one thing leads to another, that leads to another, that leads to another. And then we also have talked about using different lenses with our reading. History, like looking at how things were in the past. Geography, location. Economics was like the funds and resources, and then civics is like the government. Okay, so just a quick review, but we are going to use all of this today. We're going to apply all of these skills to documentaries today. All right. So I just said this, we're going to talk about documentaries. Everything we've learned can be applied to documentaries, but documentarians have their own set of techniques that they use when they film and edit. So like, if you're making a movie, you're not going to have the same techniques as somebody who's writing a book. You're using different tools. You have a video camera. You have, like, if you've ever used like iMovie or a movie creator, you can speed up and slow down and you can voice over things, right? When you're making a documentary, these people have choices when they're making their films. All right. So this is what we're going to add this to our notebooks. You don't have to write word for word, but a couple of things that are important to make note of I guess I'm going to go here so that you guys can see. Important things to make note of when you are doing this is, I was going to try to zoom in and it's not going to let me. These right here. And I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I could tell that we were losing the bottom part of it. Oh, my Lanta, I'm sorry. So we have multiple voices. We want to make sure that every speaker can develop different perspectives. Everybody is able to speak and give different perspectives. So that's a way that people use their craft moves. You have your background music, and that helps with your setting or your mood. Okay, you want to listen to that. Clearly, when you're reading a book, you're not going to have music. You don't open up a book. It's not one of those musical birthday cards. It doesn't play music. Music is only done in videos, and that's going to help you understand and have a deeper connection to the setting and the mood. You have the way shots are. So, like, if somebody zooms in, it's going to be more symbolic than, if somebody is just staying in the same area. There's reasons why they choose to zoom in on certain things, okay? Same thing, you can also have a wide angle shot. And what that is when you kind of step back and you are able to see everything. And so documentarians do that as well. So I'm going to give you a second here to go ahead and copy this chart in your notebook. And then we are going to move on and practice this with a documentary. All right. So we're going to watch this documentary. It is a New York Times documentary. We're going to watch almost the first 3 minutes. While we watch, you're going to pay attention to things like the close-in shots and the camera angles and looking at those 4 things that we talked about and how it understands or how that affects what we understand with the documentary. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play now.
My name is Rufino Santis Diaz, and I am 24 years old. I was born in this community called Custon in Chiapas, Mexico. And I was 5 years old when I left to go to the U.S. I finished high school, but then I couldn't get into college in the U.S. because I don't have any papers or legal documents. So I made my decision, why not go back to Mexico and go see where the community where I was born and see if I can go to college up there. That was 3 years ago when I got here. The university here told me we can't accept you because your papers are American and they're all in English. It's just like you're blank and you don't have any studies in Mexico. And so I still regret it that I came back. The first time I came here, I saw the village. It was like very poor, all this poverty. Like very sad to see people, to see the kids around me. When I got home, I said, "Where's the kitchen?" And they said, "This is the kitchen." And I was kind of shocked. And I said, "This is way different from Cairo, Georgia." And they told me, "Yes, this is way different. This is not the U.S. no more. This is Mexico, Chiapas."
Nanti ko jadi buat ketika hadi. Itu macam nanti awak nanti awal nanti ke yang awak nanti awak tak ini mulik usi awak tak ini awak mati ini.
That's why my father left to go find a better job in the U.S.
All right. So now that we've watched that, what I want you guys to do really quick is answer this pear deck. What choices did you see that the creator made that could help you understand this part of the documentary? Were there close-in shots? Hint, hint. What did the author choose, or what did the creator choose to zoom in on? What about the music? What are some other things that you noticed while you were watching that documentary? I'll give you a second to fill that out. Okay, so looked at your responses. A lot of you noticed that the music was kind of sad. Okay, so clearly there's a sense of sadness. A lot of you noticed that it really focused on his story. Mom was pulled in there at the very end, but it really focused on his story. One thing that I saw from a lot of people was how you noticed how poor that area was. And I think if you look at specifics that were zoomed in on, one of the things that was really zoomed in on was the food that they were cooking. It was almost set up like a campfire, and that's how they were cooking their dinner. Okay, so you guys did a great job noticing the choices. That's wonderful. What we're going to do now is we're going to watch for another like 30-ish seconds and look at the wide shots. Now, if you remember, a wide shot is when you pull out and you can see more. So we noticed a lot of the close-ups before, focusing on, the poverty and the lack of money. This time, we're going to focus on the wide shots and how that might contribute to the central idea. Remember, the main thing we need to learn about this topic, okay? So I'll go ahead and hit play now.
Months later, my dad came back for us, and my mother prepared us for the journey to cross the desert. And we got to the small town called Cairo, Georgia. And that's where we start to begin to learn how to live the American lifestyle. here was a football town, football night. You see the stadium full of people. People talk country.
Nah, ni ala kial kuna ti koi me pedi. Kela ni chawi ade tas lumari ko mo yuko ni ko jadi mo putushat kela me. Ani saya cagi karo, cagi kali pasai, cagi sopa cagi ke stekel jadi kan. Wah ye jadi kat teri. No cawani. Sino po ba? Ala lo jam nyara papi ni mas anu sekitar.
Okay, so we saw some wide angles. Okay, we looked out. Okay, what are some things, even thinking about what the camera spanned on? Okay, what are some things that you noticed how it contributes to the central idea? So what I would do is think to yourself, okay, what is the topic here? What is the central idea of what we're watching? And then how do the different shots and angles contribute to that? So I'll give you guys a second to answer this on your Pear Deck. Okay, so a lot of us had mentioned about how you look at the wide angles and you could really see the changes in the areas, and you could also look at the pictures and see, how they zoomed in on the pictures and see what was important to that town and kind of what brought people together in that town. So really showed the differences between the two countries and how they had to move and experience both countries. Okay, so just a note. So just like when we pay attention to what an author chooses to do in a text, when we're watching documentaries or even movies or listen to podcasts, which I was never a podcast person, but over the summer and over quarantine, I really started listening to podcasts, and you can get a lot of good information from podcasts. But while you're listening to that, or while you're watching documentaries, or while you're watching YouTube videos, or while you're watching a movie, you can learn a lot just by paying attention to what somebody chooses to do. Okay, it's going to give you a deeper understanding of what you're reading, of what you're watching, or what you're listening to if it's a podcast. Okay. So everything that we've worked on, plus all of this, is really going to help you understand digital texts. All right, so here's what's going to happen today. We have about 45 minutes left. There are 5 documentaries that you get to choose from, and you are going to choose one, and you're going to complete the question. So I'm going to show you really quick on Schoology how you get there. And then if you go to class materials, click on reading, and then click on literary nonfiction because we're still in that unit. It should be the very top thing, the session 18 graphic organizer, and then in parentheses, documentaries. Okay, here's what it looks like. You have 5 different documentaries. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 craft moves. So whether it be a zoom in, whether it be a close, different perspectives, the way different people are speaking, whether it be a wide angle shot, maybe it's the music, and you're going to explain how that craft affects your understanding of the film. Then we're going to go back to our skills from literary nonfiction. You're going to look at a theme and explain how the theme fits. You're going to find a central idea, explain how the central idea fits. You're going to find a social issue and explain how the social issue fits. You're going to choose a character and explain how you see this character's perspective. You're going to explain how you see how this character sees things. You're going to answer this question, what is the author or the documentarian, the movie creator, trying to argue? You're going to talk about how you see causes and effects, whether it be one cause with like effect, 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 or, a lot of causes with one effect, or like a domino thing. And then the last thing you're going to do is pick a lens and explain how looking through that lens affects what you can learn. Okay, so this is going to be due at the beginning of class tomorrow. You should have a decent amount of time. These are anywhere between, I think, 8 minutes and 12 minutes long. And you can pause it and you can rewind it, but you can have both this tab and your documentary tab open at the same time. And so you can be answering at the same time. Okay, so when you get done with this, make sure you submit on Schoology. This is really going to help you with your Ed Puzzle mastery tomorrow. Okay? All right. Good luck. Off you go.